How's it going, everyone? Face reveal. Hello, everyone. I normally don't record because my Zoom camera looks like shit, but I'm here with my friend Dylan. We met in sports marketing class. We went to PSU, Plymouth State, up in New Hampshire. So this guy's like a walking sports encyclopedia. So we are gonna make Mega Millions, starting a sports podcast. Still gonna determine the name. Unfortunately, Dylan is a Giants fan, so that might be a problem, but that's okay. We're gonna get past it. Um, so we're basically just gonna shoot the shit about the playoffs. By the way, I'm not like Jesus descending from the heavens. This light just has like a glare that I can't get rid of. So I'm not Jesus descending from the heavens. But we're just gonna shoot the shit about the playoffs here. So I think where we're gonna start is we both filled out our playoff brackets, and I think we're just gonna quickly run through both of ours and then kind of take it from there, and then maybe after break down the wild card games. So my bracket, just running down it real quick. I have the Chargers over the Texans, the Ravens over the Steelers, the Bills over the Broncos. On the NFC, I get uh, the Vikings over the Rams, the Bucks over the Commanders. Not going to say Redskins, almost said Redskins. Then I have the Eagles over the Packers. Divisional round AFC, I have the Chiefs. What a surprise, narrowly winning another game against the Chargers. Then I have, this is my first upset, I have the Ravens beating the Bills. The NFC side, I have the Lions beating the Vikings, the Bucks, or sorry, the Eagles beating the Bucks. Then the AFC champ game. This is when I probably go probably too bold. I have the Ravens beating the Chiefs, getting to the Super Bowl. I have the Eagles, maybe a bit bold, also beating the Lions. So I have a battle of the birds in the Super Bowl. I have the Ravens coming out on top, which I probably would have never predicted before the season. So there is my bracket. Probably gonna get slandered for it, but
Actually not too far off of you, but there are some different games that I actually have a little bit different. So the first game, the Packers and the Eagles, I have the Eagles winning. However, I do think that Jalen Hurts could start pretty slow because he
that's
hasn't
yep.
started since week
I
15.
I agree. That's what I just said in my last video.
Yeah, and I think that the Packers are going to stack the box a little bit with Xavier McKinney
Yep.
to kind of limit Saquon a bit because he's been on a tear this season, a little bit over 2,000 yards. Um, the next game, the Bucks and the Commanders. Listen, I'm high on the Commanders this year. I think the Commanders take this one. And for the Commanders, I think that they're going to win 35 to 28. I think it's going to be a little bit of a high scoring game. I think this is going to be a game where you want to bet a lot of wide receiver overs. So
Oh yeah.
alongside with that as well. I have a little stat written down here that the Bucks offense has scored 24 points in the last 7 games. So there's been at least 24 points in their scoring. And Washington, they're kind of like middle of the pack in the pass defense and stuff. It's gonna be kind of hard to stop Mike Evans and um, McMillan, who's been also on a tear. I know that McMillan has scored like the last like 5 games or something. It's been like a big
Yeah.
stretch. With the Commanders, I mean, what else can you say besides Jaden Daniels? I mean, he's completely turned this franchise around. So I would have to say that the Commanders are going to take it, and I think it comes down to just, especially the Commanders who haven't been in the playoffs since 2020 and have really just um, provided a spark with Jane Day and Terry McLaurin and Zacchaeus. I actually think Zacchaeus is going to also play a big part in that as well. So I think Zacchaeus is also going to help out Terry McLaurin.
Yep.
Um, so Vikings and Rams. I have the same thing as you. I have the Vikings beating the Rams. I think they get back on track after that loss to the Lions. Um, so I'm going to take the Vikings over the Rams 27 to 20. So that's what I got with that.
I had 24-20, so we're pretty close there. That's
Okay.
a coin flip game for me though, pretty much.
It
Could
is.
definitely
It
see the
really
Rams
is.
winning.
It's insane how close some of these are.
Yeah.
Uh, Pittsburgh, Baltimore. So of course Pittsburgh's coming off the 4-game losing streak. Um, and Baltimore's coming off a 4 game winning streak. So it's pretty funny how like that kind of correlates,
Yeah,
right? But I'm gonna have to say Baltimore. I think Baltimore, um, I think they take care of business, but I think it's a little bit closer. I think the Steelers do cover. I think it's the
yeah.
spreads
It
10
was
to 10.
it was 10. Now it's down to 9.5. It's still, I mean, the Ravens could very well cover it, but that's wild for a playoff game, and especially Ravens Steelers.
Not even that, even a divisional game too, like a divisional game
Yeah,
in point spread. It's crazy. But another thing about this game that people aren't talking about is Zay Flowers is
yeah,
um, doubtful for this game. So
yeah,
I mean, and I know that Derrick Henry is 90 when every single time he goes nine over 90 yards rushing, they're 10-0.
yeah,
Isn't that crazy? And I don't know. It's insane. So I think that Pittsburgh's gonna have to also stack the box a bit, and see what happens with that. You have to stop Derrick Henry. I mean, he's also on a tear as well as Saquon Barkley is. So
yeah.
you can put those two at the top. All right. Broncos Bills. All right. So this is my hot take of the
Oh
playoffs.
boy.
Oh yeah. Yep. I have the Broncos beating the Bills. And
Wow.
I think the 8.5
Wow.
is so disrespectful. I think it's so disrespectful. Listen, the Broncos defense is nothing to play with. These guys are playing at probably a top 5 level right now. Like this defense is really legit. And I know they got a little exposed against the Browns, but I I think that they're gonna come back to their senses and beat the Bills because I mean, who really scares you on that offensive side? There's only like one
Yeah,
person and maybe one or two people. It's Josh Allen and probably James Cook. I
yeah,
think that I think Keon Coleman, I mean, it's his first, playoff game. You never know what's going to happen with that. Shakur, he's good. He's more of a slot guy. And Amari Cooper. I mean, Amari Cooper is scary too. He's a seasoned veteran. I think you can line up man against the Bills, though. I think you put PS2 on Cooper or whoever has the hot hand. I know Mac Hollins is also a good little threat that they have as well. But I think it's also stopping Josh Allen with his legs as well. Um, a little thing about the um, Denver Broncos is their rush defense is third in the league. So they're going to put an emphasis on stopping Josh Allen and James Cook. So I know, call me crazy, but I think the Broncos can sneak out one against the Bills, which is a really hot topic, which I understand because Bills are a really good team. But
yeah.
I think Bo Nix, I think he's gonna I think there's something that's there. It's gonna take off. So I think the Broncos are gonna ride the high end. And then we can start talking about your favorite team after that. The Kansas City
Oh
Chiefs.
yeah.
Um,
I might like your Giants better at this point.
yeah, right. Well, actually, we'll get to this one real quick. So the Chargers and the Texans. Okay. That Christmas Day game against the Ravens was the worst quarterback play I've ever seen. And it was almost
This
besides
is
Jake
coming from a Giants fan too,
besides Jake
Daniel
Fromm on the Giants
Jones.
a long time ago. Jake Fromm was atrocious, along with Mike Glennon. But that'll get into another story. Um, listen, Stroud has been pressured a lot this year, especially I think he's been pressured a lot this year. 38.6% is what he is under pressure. Which I mean, he has 54 sacks taken, which is there's only 3 teams that had more than sacks taken than the Texans, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah,
I think the Chargers are too good. I think this game's also going to come down to the trenches. I think it's going to come down to Daniil Hunter or Daniil Hunter on Alt or on um, Slater. So Hunter and Anderson against Alt and Slater. That's going to be like the key battle. I do think the Chargers are going to actually blow out the Texans by 2 scores. I think this is the Chargers like, all right, this is Justin Herbert. This is the coming out party of
yeah,
Jim Harbaugh and that team. I have the Chargers over the Texans 31-13. I think that this is going to be an absolute staple, and I think this is just something that's going to elevate the Chargers game. Um, and move on to the next round. The next game is let's see, let's go back to the Eagles game. Eagles and Commanders, right? That will be the next game. Yeah,
Uh, you, wait, hang on here. Yeah, can you go over your NFC wild card picks again?
yep. AFC wild card. I had the Ravens over
Or,
Steelers.
sorry, NFC.
Oh, okay. I had the um, Commanders over the Bucks. I had the Eagles over the Packers. I had the Vikings over the Rams.
Okay,
And
so then if you had the Vikings and the Commanders advancing, it would actually be Detroit and Washington, and then it'd be Philly and Minnesota, because Detroit would get the lower seed, which the Commanders are the sixth seed. Not to throw you off.
no, yeah. Yeah, so I have the Lions over the Commanders. I think the Lions are
Yeah,
one of the most complete teams in the league. I think they said that Montgomery's going to come back as well.
the divisional round they
They-
said.
yeah, so listen, they're going to get a jump spark with that team. Give me the Lions over the Commanders. The next game is the what? It's the
It,
um,
Philly and Minnesota.
Vikings, Philly, and Minnesota.
That would be a good game if that happened.
I hate the yeah. I mean, I hate the Eagles.
Yeah, me too. I
I'm
picked
gonna
them for the
have to go with
bowl.
the Eagles though.
Yeah,
That team is also just one of the more complete teams in the league. I'm gonna take the Eagles, um, and it's pretty cut and dry with that as well. I think Jalen Hurts, with a game under his belt, I think it's also gonna help him out. So I'm gonna go Eagles over the Vikings.
yeah,
And then the NFC was it the championship? The
yeah.
Lions and the Eagles. Give me the Lions all day. I mean, give me the Lions all day. I think that if they verse, I think it's gonna be Lions by 10. I think it's gonna be the Lions team by 10 points. Um, I think it's gonna be probably a game like 27-17, a game like um, I don't know, 28-20, something like that. I think you're gonna get that kind of game out of the Eagles and the Lions. And then I have your Lions in the Super Bowl. Um, so the AFC, right? Okay, so the AFC, we're actually not too far off. I
Yeah.
have the uh, what I have the Ravens over the Steelers. I had the Chargers over the Texans, and then I had the um, who else? Who else I have? I had the Ravens over the Steelers,
Nah, you had Denver over Buffalo.
Denver over Buffalo. Okay,
That
so uh,
that's
who would
certainly a
Denver
hot
verse?
take.
Denver would verse. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It
But
and
hey, it's the NFL, baby.
they'd play the Chiefs. Denver would if they beat the
Yep.
Bills.
What a story for the Chiefs to have just knocking off the Broncos. I have the Chiefs knocking off the Broncos if that were to happen. Um, and then the other one is the Ravens and the Bills, or Ravens and the not Bills, Ravens
Uh,
and the Chargers.
Chargers. Yeah.
Yep. Um, this is so hard. I think if they get into a battle, I think it's I could. Where would this be? This would be in Baltimore.
Yeah, because they're the higher seed.
Okay. I mean, Lamar Jackson's history in the playoffs. I know everybody's going to bring that up when it gets to about this point. Um, I I'm going to go Ravens though because I think that I mean this team, Derrick Henry, it's a completely different team than when they had Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins just like last year or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit different. I think Lamar is really playing with confidence. He has some crazy stat line where he's like number one in QBR. Um, he has like 41 touchdowns and like four interceptions this entire year, which is insane.
And half of them are just bounced off receivers' hands. They aren't even on him.
It's actually incredible. I really think that Lamar is going to take off this playoffs. I
Yeah.
I have the Ravens. I have the Ravens over the Chargers, and I think it's gonna be close. I think it's gonna be like a field goal. I think it's gonna be like a Justin Tucker storyline where it's like
Oh, yeah,
50
redeemed
yarder.
himself.
It's gonna be like that. It's gonna be like a 50 yarder for the win. It's gonna be something.
Yeah,
It's gonna be something like that, and then Justin Tucker is gonna, you
yeah.
know, do his thing. But I think I'm gonna go Ravens over Chargers,
Hmm.
and then AFC Championship game, right? Chiefs Ravens. I know your favorite team. I have the same exact outcome that you have. I have the Ravens over the.
Let's go.
I have the Ravens of. I think the Magic's gonna run out. I have I
Black
have to go with the.
magic.
I really think this Baltimore team's legit, and with all these one score games that everybody's talking about, the Chiefs in Arrowhead, I think there's I think this is gonna happen. I really think that the Baltimore Ravens are gonna take it over the Chiefs. And then Super Bowl matchup, the Ravens and the Lions. Now, um, it's really close. It's really close. I think it's gonna be a touchdown though. And they're just too good of a team. The Lions for the first time in however many years, I think it's like 50 plus for the first time, they're gonna they're gonna end up champions. And
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be really cool to see Jared Goff win his championship. So
yeah,
I'm gonna go Lions.
yeah. So yeah, we actually had pretty close brackets. We both had the same conference championships. We both the Ravens in the Super Bowl. We both have Detroit, Philly in the champ game. I feel like pretty much everyone in the NFC has Detroit and Philly. It's the final two. That is literally like close to a coin flip for me. I know you said that you're like confident with the Lions. I definitely think that would be a shootout. I have very little doubt the Lions would do their part, their offense. Uh, see, like the Vikings game, I picked the Vikings to beat them, but like I literally said it in my video. I'm like the Lions defense, like everyone thinks it's gonna get torched. I thought the Vikings, I said 31 they would put up on them, but I'm like my gut was telling me the Lions defense is gonna play good, and that's exactly what happened. I went against my gut. If Detroit and Philly matched up, I feel like the Lions defense would play well. So I'm kind of going against my gut, saying Philly would score 31. But I hope Detroit wins it all. It's just the injuries they got. It just feels like I don't know. Feels like
Yeah.
their hype has
I,
died down because of the injuries.
I wish they would have made a move for a pass rusher in at the deadline. I really wish I could
Yeah,
have seen somebody like I mean, I wish we would like I just wish we would have seen somebody to that Lions team. Like a Miles Garrett. Like what are the Browns doing this year? Like I don't understand what they're trying to do because I mean players at a high value where you could sell them at a high cost. I don't understand what the reason was when your season was almost over at the deadline anyway. I don't understand why they wouldn't just move on from Garrett or like I mean I don't understand. I wish they would have made a move. I wish the Lions would have made a little more aggressive approach to that Hutchinson injury.
yeah.
But
Well,
but I do
they got Zadarius Smith, but there was rumors they were going to get Crosby, but that's another team, the Raiders. Like, what the hell? They're a disaster this year too. Surprised they didn't just fire sale everyone. Could have gave Crosby away. Yeah,
oh they did get oh my gosh
Detroit is I mean, I feel like this is kind of their make or break. I mean, I think they'll be fine next year. They'll probably be a juggernaut. They're probably going to lose. Well, Aaron Glenn is probably going to the Saints, it seems like. Then Ben Johnson, he might stay with them because he's like apparently very specific as to what he wants. But if they lose both their coordinators, they're going to I think they'll be fine, but I have a hard time seeing them being like the juggernaut they are this year. So if they get to win it all, it's going to be this year, I think, and I hope they do. So long as it's not the Chiefs, though, I don't even care at this point.
out of everybody that if Brian Dable got fired this year, I really wanted Ben Johnson. Just I really
Yeah,
I mean, just look at that Detroit offense. It's so like creative with I think we see laterals like all the
yeah,
time.
I know.
The offensive
That's
linemen score. It's just
yeah,
people say it's Dan Campbell, but it's Ben Johnson. Like it's really
oh
Ben Johnson.
yeah,
It's Dan Campbell too, but it's
yeah,
those two guys really make this offense run.
yeah. So yeah, we actually have pretty close bracket. What do you think of the the Philly Green Bay games. Pretty much everyone's picking Philly, but I would not be surprised if the Packers won. That is like a coin flip game to me. I think the Packers could literally make a run of the Super Bowl, and maybe that's like bold because they're getting hurt now and they haven't looked good the past 2 weeks. But something about that team just I don't know. I'm picking them to lose round one, but that's a
Mm.
very dangerous 7 seed.
I think it also comes down to just like how healthy is this Packers team. We just saw Christian Watson go down.
Yeah,
He's a little banged up. He will be out for the year. Um, I know this Packers team disrespect. If we looked at the Cowboys game, I think it was like last year. I mean, we all know Dallas's record in the playoffs, but besides that, I mean, Green Bay basically put a boot
yeah,
in them.
yeah.
They
They beat
kicked
the
their
piss
butts.
out of them.
It was like, was it two years ago now? Is that 2 years or is that last year?
Yeah, that was last year.
Last year, right? So like it's this Packers team, they're good on the road, and I think people should not count them out. And like I said, I do think that Jalen Hurts is going to start a little bit slower.
Yeah,
I
I
think that
agree.
Billy's going to try to get that rushing attack going, and if they're not getting that attack going, they're in third and long situations. Like if you're looking at like third and seven, third and seven to third and 12 to third and 20, like any one of those, I think the Packers can take this easily. It's so close, and like this Packers team, one of the youngest teams in the NFL, and they could be some of the best teams moving forward.
Right. Had they won against the Bears, they would have won. They still would have been the 7 seed. They would have been a 12-win 7 seed.
My gosh,
And
crazy.
then,
NFC
yeah,
North.
I think, yeah, I agree with you. I think Hurts, I mean, it seems like he's going to play, but yeah, he's going to be rusty. And then in general, the Eagles seem to start off slow regardless. It seems like the first quarter, like they never put up any points. They had like an NFL record this year. It was like the longest without scoring like a touchdown or something like that in the first quarter. Green Bay, I could see. I think the key for them to pull off the upset is they got to start off like red hot, like they did against Dallas last year.
Yes.
Um, yeah, that's going to be an interesting game. And then if they win, they'd play the Lions, which I would pick the Lions, but that would be, even
Another
though Detroit swept them, that would be another interesting game because like no one gave them a chance against the Niners last year, and they should have won that game. They blew it. Yeah, Tampa, Washington. That definitely. I know you have Washington. I have Tampa. That's kind of a coin flip for me. I feel bad because I picked the Commanders like to lose most of their games, so I hope I've been like hating on them. But to me, I just feel like kind of like indecisive. I just think the Bucks, like the playoff experience, like the young Commanders team, that's gonna show. But at the same time, I can also see Jane Daniels just like being like, yep, like experience, like not showing at all, or inexperience, just going in there, balling out. So that could be an interesting game. I definitely feel like the Commanders, their ceiling is the divisional round, though I don't see them beating either Philly or Green Bay or Detroit if they pull off the upset against Tampa.
I'm gonna say something right now. So I think the Commanders can beat Philly.
Oh, they
I think
did
they can.
actually.
I mean, they did already this year, and I
Yeah.
think they can do it again. This Bucks team. So going back to the Commanders and the Bucks, um, they have a 96.6 rate on pass defense. That's 25th in the NFL. So I think that Jaden Daniels is going to completely slice up this defense. I think he can go for something like 350 and 3 touchdowns. I think one to Terry, one to Zacchaeus, and probably one to Zach. I really think that this team is just riding momentum, and I mean they're going to take that into the playoffs. Austin Eckler is also coming back, so
Yeah.
I know they have Austin Eckler coming back. Um, their defense is like middle of the pack, statistically, like middle of the pack. I think that's decent enough for the Bucks. Just if you need to put a safety over the top to help out with Mike Evans, I would recommend doing it. And then Yadney St. Juste probably against McMillan. I mean, we have to watch that one too. I mean, McMillan's been on a tear, so we're gonna have to see with that. And the two motors in the backfield with Rashad White this year and Bucky Irving. I mean, Bucky Irving is, I mean, his rookie
Yeah.
campaign has been incredible. I mean, if you look at where he was taken in the draft. I think it was like the fourth round.
Yeah.
Incredible, incredible where he was taken. My buddy Tyrone Tracy, it's my boy. Tyrone Tracy, fifth round. Had to put some respect on that. But this running back class, so far, it wasn't the strongest coming into that draft class, but there are some bright spots of it where it's been taken off. Um, but I think the Commanders are a team to watch. And I will even say this, if they verse the Lions, it's gonna be a close game. I think it's gonna be within seven, that final score. I think it could be within seven. I think it could be within 10, around there. But I don't see Lions blowing them out by 17. I think it's gonna be like a 6 point spread kind of game.
Yeah.
But but I have to take the complete team with the Lions there.
Yeah. Yeah. If they play, I think if they're gonna beat either Philly or Detroit, I definitely think they're more likely to beat Philly, especially because obviously they know Philly better than Detroit, and they
Yeah,
upset Philly already. So,
yeah, for sure. And yeah, I mean, it's such a cool playoff scenario kind of season. It's
well,
really cool.
that's what I was saying. These playoffs, like maybe I'm just like caught up in the moment. It seems like these playoffs are like more unpredictable than like years past. Like
Yeah,
it seems like the past couple of years, it's like all right, it's either the Chiefs, unfortunately, either the Chiefs, Bills, or like it's one of those two teams, like Eagles. So like one of those teams is gonna win it all. Now it's like there's multiple scenarios you can make an argument that like these teams can make a run this year. And like I have the Chiefs beating the Chargers in the divisional round. I would not be like too shocked if the Chargers pulled off the upset and beat them because it's like they swept the Chargers. It's like you're going to beat a Chargers team in another narrow game for the third time, and it's like Jim Harbaugh. That type of game is like one he's won in his past. So
absolutely.
like that's an example there. Definitely
Absolutely. I, I
unpredictable.
I really think the Chargers are gonna mollywop the Texans. I think it's going to be a blowout. I might have to alternate spread that game by like 10 or 14. I really think the Chargers are gonna mollywop the Texans. Khalil Mack, is he coming back? Or I think he's back, right?
Yeah,
He's gonna. I mean, he's a veteran. I think he's still hungry for that Super Bowl. Listen, I have to take the Chargers, and I think the Chargers can easily, like you said, beat the Chiefs easily. I think that game's a lot closer. I think it's gonna be a one score game. I think it's gonna be a pass interference call, and
I'm
that's how it's
sure.
gonna end. But
Yeah,
no,
I'm
I think the Chiefs can take down the Chargers.
yeah, yeah. I have a I can definitely see the scenario you're laying out with the Chargers blowing the Texans out. And honestly, now that we're talking about it, I'm tempted to change my score, but I already submitted it, so I'll just stick with my score. I have a 24-17 win. I just think the Texans defense is going to play a good game, but I just think the Texans offense is going to have a really rough time. I really like Jesse Minter, what he's done defensively. They have the top scoring defense. They beat Philly by 2 points for the top scoring defense. But I just think they're going to be very well prepared in that game. And honestly, I if I didn't submit my score, I probably would change it to a Chargers blowout. But yeah, that's that's going to be interesting. Whatever team got the 5 seed, I've been saying for weeks, they pretty much have a bye against the Texans with how piss poor they've been playing.
Yeah, it's that's the thing that we're talking about with like playoffs. It's so crazy because we have all these teams. I mean, even before the season, we didn't expect the Broncos to be in the
Oh
playoffs. I mean,
no,
I
yeah.
expected the Broncos to be, and now we
Oh,
have
me too.
unproven Nix in the mix. We have an unproven Jaden Daniels in the mix. I actually predicted the Commanders to make the playoffs. I thought I said the Cowboys were not going to make the playoffs. I was very low on the Cowboys this year. I don't know why. I mean, I also didn't expect Dak to get injured, but the thing is I had the Commanders in the second spot in the NFC East, and the way that I lined it up, it's exactly what it is. I had the Eagles, Commanders, Cowboys, Giants, and I'm a Giants fan, so that really hurt my heart. But I gotta go with I have to go with the with that, and I don't know. I mean I have so many unproven playoff like implications in this matchup in these matchups.
Me too.
So I mean, like I said, I think Broncos are going to rise to the occasion. I think a lot of the pressure is more on the Bills because I think a lot of people have high expectations for the Bills. Um, that's why I'm going to go with the Broncos. And I think the Broncos are just going to come in there and just play their own game. So
I,
gonna go with the
I
Broncos.
it's that game. I'm like the complete opposite of you. I have the Bills blowing the Broncos out. I think the Bills going to be up late, and then the Broncos, I think, will score like a garbage time TD. But apparently, it is supposed to snow, so I don't know who that benefits more. But I think like on a neutral weather game, I feel really confident with the Bills. So maybe Denver, if it snows, they get a bit of a break, even though their run game has been like. It's like good at times, but they like refuse to like stay with it. It's weird. But if they win, their defense is definitely gonna have to step up. But the
Yeah,
Bills do tend to choke, so maybe.
that's the thing is, that left side, the DN spot, where Dawkins is, that left tackle spot,
Yeah,
Dawkins plays. He's been atrocious this year, and I think that I forgot who. I think it was Zach Allen and gosh, what's his name? Zach Allen and that side of the John Franklin Myers and
yeah,
Wurzariki.
yeah,
Listen, I think they could eat on that left side. And that's another thing is that's Josh Allen's blind side because he's a right-handed quarterback.
yeah,
So that blind side, I mean, I really do think that they can get to him. So it's all about Josh Allen and his legs and protecting himself. And I think that the Broncos are actually a little bit of a scary matchup for the Bills. Um,
hmm
I really it's such a weird game, and just because it's a weird game, I'm gonna go with the Broncos. And I think Bo Nix is gonna rise to the occasion. Now,
and
if they blow them out, if the Bills blow out the Broncos by 13, I'll be coming back to you saying you're right. But it's either gonna be a really close game, or the Broncos are gonna sneak out a close one.
yeah. And then if Denver does beat the Bills, they would play the Chiefs, and then you can make the same argument with them with the Chargers. I mean, Denver obviously just absolutely demolished the Chiefs last week. But yeah, now as the Chiefs backups, I think the Chiefs were just very vanilla that game, not wanting to put anything on film. But then the Broncos should have beaten them the first time. But of course, the Chiefs get a lucky field goal block to win. So you can make an argument that the Broncos have a legitimate chance if they pull off this upset to beat the Chiefs too. I didn't
Yeah,
even really think
and,
about
and
that.
the Broncos, people forget the Broncos were up on the Chargers by 10 points in that
Yeah,
I think it was a Thursday
yeah,
night
it
game.
was. Yeah, a
They were
couple
up
weeks
by 10
ago.
points. Yeah, 10 points on the Chargers. Like they were on the road, and were they on the road? Yeah, I think they were on
Yeah,
the road.
yeah, they
And
were.
they were putting in work on the Chargers, that's for sure. So I think it's gonna be another close game. I think the 8.5 point spread is so I think it's ridiculous. I think the odds should be a little closer. I think they're a little wide. I would take the 8, but I mean, I don't know. It's close. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to go with the 8, the +8 on the spread.
Yeah, there is definitely the only teams I honestly don't think you can make an argument that can win it all are I don't think Denver can win it all. I think Washington's still a couple pieces away. And then honestly, okay, probably the Bucks too. I think their defense is too injured, but literally every other team, some of them you'd be stretching a bit, maybe like the Chargers, but I feel like literally every other team in the playoffs you can make a case for it. They could make a run.
Yeah, such a cool year. It really is such a cool year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I see that we have like short time left on the thing.
Yeah, we have 3 minutes left. Um, so yeah, if I mean we can end it if you wanted to, or we just boot up another one if you wanted to do that too. I don't care. I'll do either or, whatever.
Sure, let's boot up another one. Why not?
All right, cool. So I think if we just let this one run out, it'll just automatically boot us out. So as we can stay in for another 2.5 minutes. Yeah. Um, So yeah, I thought I went a bit bold with the Ravens going to the Super Bowl, but that's I've said it in my I just recorded my bracket video before this. The Ravens to me this year, it's reminding me, giving me vibes of like the 2012 Super Bowl, like they very under the radar team and they just turn it on in the postseason, or they remind me of like the 2019 Chiefs where the Chiefs at one point that year were 6-4. Mahomes got hurt, and the Ravens were red hot that year, so everyone was picking them. And the Niners in the Super Bowl, and the Chiefs just kind of under the radar went to the Super Bowl. The Ravens kind of this year reminded me a bit about that team. I don't know. I mean, I don't like the Ravens because I'm a Patriots fan, but not a big Lamar guy either. But he's kind of won me over this year. Um, I wonder if they're going to give him the MVP though. That's
Yeah.
going to be
I think
interesting
it's going
between
to be
him and
Allen. I think it's
Allen.
going to be, yeah. But I will say this though. I think it's 8 out of the last 9 times or 7 out of the last 8 times. Mahomes has made the AFC Championship every year. Every like 7 out of the last 8 or 8 out of the last 9. Mahomes has made the AFC Championship. That's incredible. Like, I mean, if he gets to the Super Bowl again, we need to have the conversation about
Oh God,
we have to.
help
I'm
us.
sorry. It's getting out of hand. I mean, there hasn't been a three-peat in the NFL, and if he gets to the Super Bowl again, it reminds me a lot of like LeBron, like and Jordan debate, which we'll save that topic for later. But
That'll be another hour in it.
yeah, right. I know. But I will say that Mahomes, like, I mean, it's incredible. And he did it without Tyreek Hill last year. And he had to adapt to like Juju Smith or like it was or wait,
Juju drop Schuster from the
yeah.
Patriots.
Like what he had to deal with just Travis Kelce, it's incredible. And people need to start putting credit on that defense. McDuffie's been incredible. Chris Jones is, of course, like a top two D tackle in the league. But what Mahomes does is just, I mean, not to sound like Chris Collinsworth, but I mean, he's going to be probably the GOAT, and it will be very soon.
The Yeah, that'll be